Would you like to know the 6 marketing skills that will separate car dealership winners from losers in 2025?
Do you want to win or do you want to be a loser? If you want to win, you'll need to watch this.
Hey, I'm Travis Miller.
And I'm Jimmy V.
And this is the show that helps you build a better dealership.
All right, T. Let's jump in and talk about the 6 things that are going to marketing skills, particularly, that are going to help a dealer stand out and win in 2025.
Yeah, the interesting thing is these probably aren't the same 6 things that you're going to hear talked about by ordinary marketing companies or at industry conferences. And, there's a reason for that. Maybe we could talk about that in a different episode. Like why are we always have such a different mind than everybody else in the industry?
I don't know. It's, and that is obviously a differentiation and a good thing, but also can be a challenging thing at times when you are the one who's out on the leading edge.
Yeah, people don't always agree with us until it's, way too late, way after the fact. Sometimes it takes them years to catch up, but that's all right. We are patient and tenacious, Jim. So let's jump into this list. The first item on the list is for a dealership to be a winner instead of a loser is for the dealership to have the ability to generate their own first-party leads.
Man, this is such an interesting one because this is not really anything new. This is what dealerships used to have to do. This is what businesses generally had to do their entire existence. You had to generate first-party leads, and you had to sell those leads. Then all of a sudden, in comes these third-party lead providers, lead aggregators, inserted themselves into the process, sucked up all of the leads, and then started selling them back to the dealerships, even using, in a lot of cases, dealership inventory, dealership information, dealership data to get the leads
and then
sell
it back to the dealers. Yeah, it's crazy.
Back to the dealers, and they did that for free. They got that information, all that stuff for free from the dealers, or in cases made the dealers pay them and to give it to them, which is nuts.
It's crazy.
And now I think people are starting to wake up, and we have been talking about generating first-party leads our entire career.
Yeah, it's like. What has to happen, there's legions of dealerships out there who have just grown accustomed to like living off of government milk, basically, right? Like you can it just comes, manna from heaven. It comes for, not exactly for free, but you don't have to create it. You don't have to do much. Yeah. You have to pay for it, but it's there. But the problem is that the quality is slipping and slipping and slipping. And worse than that, the quality is slipping is it gives you no edge, no differentiation, because if everybody has access to those same leads, then it really quickly, devolves into, a race to the bottom in terms of price. Yeah. That becomes the only point of differentiation possible.
Right. And really the strategy behind third-party lead providers is all the same. It's all an inventory-based strategy for generating the lead. So you are automatically locked into a box of price and inventory merchandising the lead, and you lose out on the ability to actually differentiate yourself by the experience and the services that you provide.
Yeah, right. All right, let's move on to number 2.
Speed to lead.
It's huge. We have millions of leads flow through our fingers annually, with, the dealerships that we work with, folks who are part of our Rich Dealers program. And so we've been able to do large scale, like meta-analysis on the effectiveness of, how
quickly you jump on a lead.
Yeah. Time to response, right? And what we found, by the way, is that the leads that are responded to within the first 60 seconds are the ones that have the highest chance of
conversion, right?
Conversion, like whether that's, speaking to them, scheduling an appointment, showing and purchasing, all of those things. First 60-second contact, that's where the sweet spot is. Once it gets into 10 minutes, literally the opportunity value is dropped by half. And once it gets to an hour, the opportunity value is dropped by 90%. But there are still, dealerships out there who are, not really even initiating that first response until well after 24 hours. And at that point, the value of the lead has just dropped to almost nothing, unfortunately. And so
you paid for the lead, you might as well continue to mine it for some time. But you've just missed the value if you haven't truly gone after it quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's going to be more important. That just becomes more and more important each year as, fragmentation of attention becomes a greater and greater thing. People, their minds are scattered. They're doing a million things at once. They happen to stumble onto, hopefully, your website, enter their information into your website. A minute from now, they're on someone else's website, right?
Yeah.
And 5 minutes from now, they're watching cat videos on TikTok. I mean, it's the bottom line. So you got to catch them in that window.
Response time. Because the attention span is blink of an eye attention span. So you have to be in sync with that. Not to mention, there's a whole ton of techniques and strategies for how to reach out to a person and do it quickly and be valuable and not just spammy. And that's a different video, but that is so critical as well. So let's jump to the next one. Human-to-human interactions. Well, this kind of goes back to kind of touching on that answer to that. How do you do this in a non-spammy way, right? You try to connect with a human, like a human, and have an interaction that's meaningful and relevant to the other person.
Yeah. And, what's interesting is that the trend in the industry, honestly, the trend everywhere, the trend in the world is away from this, right?
Yeah,
with the proliferation of AI and the dream of automated response and fantastic. I mean, look, I love efficiency as much as the next guy, right? And I would love to.
Awesome.
Right. I love the idea of using AI to follow up. But what seems to be lost in AI, or by the way, quite honestly, it was lost before AI, just a few short years ago, before we had AI, it was already lost there because the humans became automatons and they were, I don't know, you could say following a script, but that's being kind of generous because they really weren't. I mean, if they followed the script, even that would be better. But it was really extremely shallow interactions with lead follow-up. And in that, you might even find that you set more appointments that way. Maybe not. But the quality of appointments aren't the same. So because I know for a fact that a lot of prospects will yes their way off the phone. Sure. Tuesday, 10, sure, sounds good. 2:00, yeah, I'll see it, sure. But if there was no value created in the interaction, and by value, what I mean, to be very specific, we use a three, it's an acronym for HUG. Heard, understood, and guided. If the customer doesn't feel from that initial interaction after, first lead contact, that they were heard, understood, and offered some guidance in the interaction, then the interaction was shallow and meaningless, and their likelihood to show up for the appointment is equally shallow. Maybe they will, but maybe they won't. And what we really need these people to show up. And so if you want them to show up, then we have to be having really deep, rich, human-to-human interactions, whether it's done, by the way, with because AI can do human-to-human interactions. Whether it's done with humans, actually, or AI, the interactions need to be rich and substantive that follow that guideline, heard, understood, and guided, as opposed to just, are you calling about the big sale? And, when can you come in for an appointment, right? Because that's feels very transactional.
I think that is the problem. It's a mindset problem, and it's the setup that has been created by third-party lead generators and the industry at large, and the push toward digital and online transactions. And the customer doing all the self-education. It creates this idea that when a customer comes to us, all they need is someone to help them transact a deal, and that's just not true. It's not true in most sales, and it's surely not true in an expensive sale like a car purchase. We have to understand that our true value and our true job is to connect and educate and understand the customer and their needs and wants, not to just process some paperwork and do a transaction. All of the lead response is typically is very transactional. It's, do you have the car? Is it in stock? Is this this? Is this that? Now, of course, these are the questions that the customer is going to ask because we've trained them to think this way and ask these questions. But this is not getting to the heart of their true desire, issue, problem, and opportunity. The value comes from mining the conversation and connecting on a human level so that you can truly understand and truly guide the customer to the proper purchase. Not allow them to just, and not allow them or leave
encourage them
to just have to do everything on their own. And then you just be relegated to, punching the clock and, signing the paperwork.
All right, we're halfway through. We're halfway through the list, Jim. Hey, wait. Before we move on to the next one, I just want to interject and invite people watching this. Let us know in the comments. What do you think about what we're talking about? Which of these items on the list are on your radar? Which are important to you? What would you add to the list? What would you take off the list? And also, if you have friends in the business who you care about, and maybe they're in your 20 group or in your dealer group, send them this video. Help them out. Send it to your competitor too. Why not? And send it to everybody you know. Wow. Send them a link to the video. And also, you should subscribe right there and where you're watching this. Hit the subscribe button, and that's important. That way, you can make sure you don't miss future videos. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna work really hard to produce valuable content for you guys that can really help you win in 2025 and beyond. So, jumping to number 4. We got 6 on the list. Just to recap, ability to generate first-party leads, speed to lead, create a human-to-human interactions, and then the next one is differentiate yourself because same is lame. If you do what everyone else is doing, you're going to get the same results. Most of those results are subpar. You don't want subpar results, do you?
You want to be a better dealership.
You want to be a better dealership. You want to get better results. You want to put more profit in your pocket. And if that's what you want to do, then you can't do it the same way everyone else does. Which, going back to the last conversation we had, having a merchant mentality is same as lame. You need to have a human-to-human attitude, a connection attitude. Not a merchant mindset, but a person mindset. The car business is a customer business. It's a service business. It's a personal business. It's an emotional business. And if we look at it that way, then we can provide a different kind of service that would make us stand out and make people want to buy from us and only us, the only and obvious choice in the marketplace.
All right. Same as lame. By the way, if you look up lame in the dictionary, you will find that it means pathetically lacking in force and effectiveness. And, that's just not what you want for your life or for you. What you want. You want ESP. Enjoyable, simple, prosperous. That's what we believe in. That's why we do this. That's what this show is about. That's what Rich Dealers is about. That's what Better Dealerships is about. It's about ESP. Ultimately, the goal is to have a life and a business that are enjoyable, simple, and prosperous. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, honestly, who would not agree with that? But while everybody might agree that that's the goal, that's what they want, very few people are experiencing that. And that's because everybody is just following the pack, following herd mentality, getting the usual results. And the usual results are not ESP. Simply put, it's not ESP. You have to do something different to achieve that level of ESP, enjoyable, simple, and prosperous. So. All right.
Okay, Travis. Marketing skill number 5 that will help you win in 2025, and that is frequency.
Yeah.
How much frequency is enough frequency, Travis?
Well, realistically, today, there's not a limit. There is not an upper limit.
There's never enough, right? It's like that song in The Greatest Showman. Never enough.
Oh, man. I can't believe that we're singing on Better Dealerships now.
Well, I'm going to avoid the rest of that because my singing voice is not very good. It's like watching a cat get its tail caught underneath a rocking chair.
Yeah, exactly. So, it is never enough. And frequency, I could tell you this. While there's not an upper limit, there's certainly a lower limit. There is a bottom limit where it's not enough. And if you don't reach if you don't pass a certain frequency threshold, you might as well not have done anything because you basically don't exist. People have to see your message a lot of times before it even starts to register, before they even pay any attention. And this was true 20 years ago. And just imagine how true it is today with our smart devices in our hands, maybe soon in our heads, and
Our glasses in our eyeballs. Who the heck knows?
Constant bombardment of information, infotainment, and people use all these apps. You get on these apps, hop on Instagram, hit the search button, tell me what you see, right? And you are bombarded with that nonstop, and so your attention is fractured, fragmented, splintered. And so frequency has always mattered. It matters more in 2025 than it ever did in the past. And so you need a frequency strategy, right? And how are you going to use, realistically, you probably, because of fragmentation of media, you have to use multiple media now to hit your frequency goals. So how are you going to combine media to hit your frequency goals? What is your frequency goal? Traditionally we would shoot for 6 to 8 times a week in frequency in a single media. Overall, can you create that combined through multiple media? You can. It is possible. Is it free? No, it's not free. I can tell you this, organic frequency is never high. That's an interesting thing to keep in mind. So if you want really high frequency, you have to pay for it because the organic frequency operates by reasonable man standards, and reasonable man standards. Oh, we're doing that again. Reasonable man standards will never deliver ESP, right?
That's right. It's right. It will never. And frequency is a marketing 101 concept, right? But it's just, we're putting it on this list because it is so critical today. It's impossible to get results if you don't have frequency in 2025. That's it.
That's one of the main things we focus on. By the way, honestly, all these things are things we focus on in Rich Dealers, but frequency is certainly at the top of the list, having a really solid frequency game. So, all right, last one, also something we focus on in Rich Dealers.
Yeah, so GPS, as we call it, it's a gravitational positioning statement, or gravitational, for us, it's a gravitational positioning statement. It helps your customers find your business, just like GPS in your car. Gravitational positioning system. I guess that's what I was trying to look for in my brain.
Oh, that's global positioning. Yeah.
Global positioning system. Right. It's just like that, except for your marketing.
Yeah.
And it attracts people to you. And the whole GPS thing is about differentiation. Yeah. What is it about? What is different about your business that would make you stand out and make people come to you above all others at any point in time?
Yeah. Why would they choose you? Yeah.
It has to be so good that would make them seek you out even from a distance, right? And if you get this right, you can, again, be the only and obvious choice in the marketplace. And, I love the fact that this is such a marketing 101 tenet as well, because in the car business, this is so easy to do because so many dealerships have zero differentiation. Yeah. And if they do have a differentiation, they do not know how to communicate it effectively. And this is just a gold mine, in my opinion, for dealerships, right, Travis? I mean, to leverage differentiation.
Well, it's a really good point that you make, that it's easy to do in the car business. You don't need the Nike swoosh here, right? You just need to come up with something that makes you different and preferable over the others. And since most people aren't saying anything, then you really just have to say something, right? And I mean, obviously there are some things that we have found work better than others, and that's main part of the work that we do and why dealerships work with us, because we've got this figured out. But look, on your own, think about why does someone choose us? And hopefully it's not only for low price, because low price can be found pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, well, low price is the only one store in really anywhere, but and everywhere can have the lowest price.
The lowest, right?
Right. So the lowest price. So if the
And you
if
don't want to
lowest,
be that.
and you really don't want to be that, because if you're truly the lowest, there's really like that means no profit price, right?
Right.
It otherwise most dealerships lean on their differentiation being their inventory, the cars that they have, right? And that is just not a good enough differentiation because there are so many different vehicles. And in certain, if you're talking about new cars, well, in most cases, a dealership is locked into the new cars they can have based on their franchises and based on the allocation. So that's a terrible differentiator too, because completely outside your control.
Yeah.
So you need a differentiation that is inside your control, that is truly unique, and that basically takes the emphasis again off the merchant mindset and puts it into the hands of the dealership, that something that you can actually control and rally around. And
I agree. Yeah.
So that's it.
Cool. All right. That's the whole list. Again, drop a line in the comments. Let us know what you think. And check us out.
Which one of these things you think is most important in 2025, which you're going to be working on and focusing on? I would love to hear it. I would love to get a chat going. If you want to continue this conversation, you can head on over to betterdealerships.com, where we have a Facebook group where we talk about things just like this to help make dealerships better and improve in 2025 and beyond. And Travis, tell them how they can learn more about getting direct help on some of these topics.
Yeah. Also check us out at richdealers.com. If you want to get serious about, ramping up, making this year the best year and massively increasing traffic and lead flow to your business, differentiation, standing out, increasing sales, increasing profit, and ultimately generating ESP for yourself and for your business, it's totally doable. We've been doing it for years and we can do it for you. Check it out at richdealers.com.
And like you said, have a business that's enjoyable, simple, and prosperous. See you next time.